what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Forgiven AF podcast. Remember, we use this as marketing material for our nonprofit mentorship program called Second Chance Mentors. Today's going to be cool. It's actually a special episode for me. This is the first time that I've ever had a guest come back. And I think it was because after the first time Paul and I did a podcast. And if you don't know who Paul Facchina is, go back and listen to, I couldn't tell you exactly which one it is. It's one of my first 4 or 5 episodes. And you can do it either before or after this episode, but everything will kind of come together and you'll get a full understanding of who he is and why I brought him back. And when you watch his old episode, so many people have told me how inspirational, motivational it was. So one of my best friends on the board of directors with me at the nonprofit, we've gotten really close by serving others and just doing stuff through church, through the nonprofit. He's a part of other different programs too that I'm going to get him to talk about because he wasn't before. With freed people, so you weren't doing that before. That's just another thing you've added to the mix. But real quick about the nonprofit, last weekend we did community service. So we had about 8 boys show up, and this was the one, they've never worked this much at one of our. Would you agree with that, Paul?
No, absolutely. They worked their butts off.
They've never worked this hard, and I was so proud of these boys. I swear, I was grinning from ear to ear because we went to the clinic. That Mansfield has a clinic for people who can't afford dental and health stuff. And to be honest, it was looking kind of run down. Last time we did their flower thing and their front sign, and then this time all the trees, the handicap signs, you couldn't even see them because the trees were hanging down into the handicap sign. So the boys trimmed down all the trees, took them up about 4 or 5 feet, trimmed them down. And then the MVP of the day was Shane Farrar, because Shane Farrar brought his a machine that you shove the trees into and
chipper.
A chipper. Okay, yeah. So sorry, I'm not. Had the chipper to put the trees in and turned it all up, and then took them to show the boys their warehouse for his landscaping company, which is cool because he also showed them, hey, this is the little blue truck that I started with a little trailer, and so it was cool for the boys to be able to see, oh man, he didn't just start with money, he started with a truck and some lawnmowers, and now look what he's got now, and then. After that, we went to lunch at his place. He just opened a restaurant called Big Fellas in Mansfield, and it was really cool. He explained the different hats that we as men wear. You got the employer hat or the employee hat. You got the dad hat. You've got just the different hats that we wear. But his point of the whole thing was how important the fatherhood hat is, and that was really cool and impactful because a lot of these boys don't have that. So it was just cool because we want the boys to know, even though they don't see it or have that, how important it is. So it can be important to them in the end, or in their life. But Paul, first of all, thank you for being here, dude. I'm really excited to, sorry, I can ramble all day long.
That's all right, brother. It's all good.
But I love you, man. I'm just so happy you're here to do this with me again. Can you tell kind of what's new, anything new since last time we've been on the show?
Well, first off, thank you for having me back because, I really, truly enjoyed the first podcast we did together.
It was fun.
It feels good to me just to get it all out and explain what I'm going through with the Get Up and Go Get It. And that was the name of the podcast that we did. Now we're doing this one on serving, which fits right into everything you and I believe to our core.
Yes.
It's in our core philosophy as people, as men. It's how we approach every day with a servant leadership heart, right? Yeah. And I think that what we've come up with here is very profound and impactful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So you and I met, and I think we just hit it off right away. We were brothers instantly, people that meet each other and have this common interest in this common energy, this high energy that we share.
Yeah.
We knew that something good was going to happen. So I joined your board with Second Chance, and this thing has just gone beyond what I think even you and I thought it was going to be when we met.
Yeah.
And that's you. You're the leader. You're the head of this thing. And I think your passion for these boys and your ability to be vulnerable and share your life story and what to avoid, right? Because look, let's be honest, machismo gets in the way sometimes, and we just want to pound on our chest and say all the good things we've done as men. But I think that there's a new age that is dawned in men. I think that men are now stepping up to the challenge to be vulnerable, to allow themselves to hear the criticism, that is out there. And look, I mean, we're men, right? We're not perfect. We don't claim to be perfect.
Yeah.
But I think there's a whole new age that's coming with men now that we're being vulnerable, we're engaging, we're now taking over the spiritual leadership of the family, right? And I know a lot of women don't want to hear that, but I'm telling you, I see it. I'm in a lot of different Bible groups and do a lot of things through the church, and I'm very amazed and proud of what men now are doing, and it starts with that vulnerability.
That's so refreshing, Paul, because, most of the time what you're hearing right now from outside resources is almost the opposite, right? People want to talk about how we're doomed and how everything's going the bad way. And that's the first time I've heard someone talk about, hey, like that he sees some positive coming out for like the way men are. You know what I mean?
Well, the narrative, right? I mean, we're not going to get political here, but there's a narrative. There's a narrative that wants to destroy the traditional family.
Correct.
And they're doing it two ways, through feminism, and they're trying to make women feel like they don't need men anymore, and that could be a whole different conversation, and it's destroying families. But the other part of this, on the man side, is that we're no good. We're terrible fathers. We're terrible husbands.
That's the toxic masculinity.
That's that toxic thing, right? I mean, but guess what? We're not.
Yeah.
Because when I moved to Texas, most of my friends are amazing Christian men that want to do better. Yeah. And it falls back into what we're going to talk about today is servitude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I see it. I'm in Bible groups. I'm talking to men, and I'm seeing the vulnerability and the desire, not just to be better for themselves, but to have a closer, more intimate relationship with Jesus.
That's so good, yeah.
Which permeates back into how they're going to behave as fathers and husbands.
That's so awesome. That wasn't even set up. That's just how good it is. Way to set up to where we're going with this, because you're so right with that. Basically, what we decided for this show is we wanted to. You guys know, after listening to this, we're always talking about community service and serving and giving back to others, because we believe that is, honestly, to me, that is what fills the void inside of my heart, and I feel like that's a God thing. Like, hey, this is what I want you to do. I want you to give back. So what we wanted to do today was kind of, the episode is about the benefits of giving back. Like, what are the reasons why you should give back? What are the benefits that you get out of serving other people and not being so focused on yourself?
And you're right. You know what I mean? And remember, in the first podcast that we had, I shared the fact that I coined the acronym with MORE, M-O-R-E, maximize opportunities, resources, and experiences.
Yeah.
And what people fail to understand is most of the time when you hear the word more, they think selfishly, what more can I have?
Yeah.
But that's not what this acronym means. It means, what resources do you have that you can share with others?
That's so good. Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm going to read, there's 7 of them that we came up with, okay? There's 7 reasons or benefits of giving back. I'm going to read them all right now so you have all 7 on the list, and then we're going to start back on one and kind of dissect it. Cool with that?
Great idea.
Okay, sweet. So these are the 7 benefits that we came up with to giving back. One is improved mental health, the way that it can improve your mental health. Number 2 is strengthen community bonds. Number 3 was enhanced empathy and understanding, which is, we'll go into that, so important right now in the world. Number 4 is skill development. And 5 is increased self-esteem. Number 6 is the networking opportunities. And number 7 is finding a sense of purpose. And every single one of those, I feel like I could go on and on about, but we're going to start back on one and talk about how giving back and serving other people can improve your mental health.
Yeah, no, that's always a good one to start with. And one of the things people don't understand is everybody has neuro patterns in their brain. You have habitual ways that you handle things. And what servitude does is it releases the dopamines and the endorphins in your brain to want to do better, to want to do more, right? And that's going to increase your desire, your motivation, and it's going to bleed into every part of your life, your spiritual life, your physical life.
That's so good. And I'm glad that you went there, because I wouldn't have necessarily thought about like the chemical things, but it's so true. Us as people nowadays we're chasing dopamine hit after dopamine hit after dopamine hit in our brains, right? And I've tried it with drugs, women, money, you know, I've tried everything else, but the only thing that's ever like the feeling, imagine after we have a community service event, right? We're with these boys, we're serving afterwards, dude, I'm on cloud 9. Like you can't tell me anything. I feel like I'm on top of the world, but it's because of that healthy dopamine hit that we're getting from serving with these kids and knowing that we're doing the right thing, you know?
No, absolutely. And in society, we're taught right now, we're consumers. What does consumer mean? It means consumption, right? We're told the way you feel better is through gluttony. Eat, just shovel food in your mouth and you'll feel better, right? Buy those shoes, buy that car. And we have our cup and we're trying to fill it with these material things, but we're not mentally healthier.
No.
We're not. You're actually
that
more
cup
shallow.
has a huge hole in the bottom of it. So you might fill it up. You might put a new car in that cup and it feels good for a week or two. But what happens after a week or two if you buy something new? That thing's not even special anymore. You're not even washing it anymore. You really like lost all motivation with that. It's just something. So you need to find, and that's something that serving others doesn't ever get old. Like
No.
you never lose that feeling of giving back and serving others ever.
No, the Bible talks about sowing seeds, right? I mean, you have it's one of Jesus's parables, right? And look, you and I are sowing seeds. We leave these events, and I'm with you, man. I feel great, right? But the truth is, we're sowing seeds in what we do because I do more than just Second Chance, right?
Yeah.
I'm part of Freed People, and we'll get into that, and
Yeah.
also a youth mentor at Life Church Mansfield for the high school boys, lead the small group,
Yep.
and I have to remind myself every single time that, you know, all I am is the sower of the seeds. But it's my job to sow them in order to see what grows.
Yeah, and then God will water them and figure out what he wants done with it.
And you just don't know what's going to grow up. We may never see the fruit,
Yeah,
but it will bear fruit.
that's good.
And there's satisfaction in that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's really good. The second one is strengthen community bonds. And to me, try to figure out, so like when you're giving back and you're serving your community in different ways, obviously what I've got, when I'm thinking, let me think about this as far as myself personally. I now have a relationship with the school district. I have a relationship with the Mansfield Mission Centers. I have all these kids' parents and these kids' families that know how good they're doing, that are like, it's caused a lot of different people in different avenues to come together as far as running a nonprofit or mentorship that actually like brings people together that might not have been together. Like a lot of these young kids, let's just be what it is. Almost all the kids in our program are young black males, right?
And Hispanic.
And Hispanic boys, yeah. Now, do you think that we would be together on a Saturday morning if it wasn't for us finding a way to give back and do, you know what I mean? Like probably not.
No, 100% not.
Yeah. So I love that though. And I really love the outside people that see this as well and are like, oh, wow, like look at them giving back to these kids. Like what can I do to get involved? You know, so it also spreads community outside of just what you're doing yourself.
Well, take it to not just the community service that we're doing, and I didn't even think about what you just mentioned. Just within the community, the organizations and the public facilities that we're talking about, the schools and everything.
Yeah.
But what else do we do with these kids? We don't just take them to work; then we take them to eat.
Good.
Eating
Good.
with people.
Yeah, and how to do it properly. And
well, there is a bond that is formed when you eat with somebody.
okay, I feel you. Yeah.
That is a sense of family, right? So here we are.
Is that the old saying, break bread?
Break bread, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look, in business, I like to take people to lunch just because I want to see them with the phone off and down, and I want to look them in the eyes, and I want to see them in a more relaxed setting. It changes things. You take them out of their comfort zone, and now all of a sudden you're breaking bread. Some people are afraid to eat in front of people. You just never know what you're going to see. But here we are. Look, I'm an older white guy. You're younger than me, right? But we're sitting at a table, enjoying food. And let's be honest, some of these guys, that's the biggest meal they have that day.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and
sure.
that's just the truth. And we're eating with them. That breaks all of those barriers.
I like that. And it's true. Yeah. Because you know what? There is a sign of respect that goes, like, I'm not going to go, I mean, I guess I might, but you're not normally going to go sit down and eat and spend time with someone that you don't, you know what I mean? That you don't have any interest in or caring for. But you know what I mean? It's almost like something that like builds that bond between people.
Well, remember, who do you eat with? Your family, your friends.
Yeah.
You don't eat with strangers.
Yeah,
you might be in
that's what I was
a
trying to get to,
restaurant
but that's good.
with strangers, right?
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden you're intimate with people. Eating is an intimate thing to enjoy together.
That's good. That's good. All right, the third one, enhanced empathy and understanding. Now, this is a really, really good one.
I love this one.
This is a really good one. Go ahead. You start with this.
Well, I mean, here's the thing that I thought about with this. Empathy.
Yeah.
If you have empathy, most people that can empathize aren't as selfish as other people. If you are selfish, completely self-absorbed, most of those people don't have empathy
Yeah.
because all they care about is themselves.
That's good.
So selfishness is a consequence of the lack of empathy.
That's good. One of the things I think that our world is so divided, and especially politically though, in both ways, is people, when it comes to politics and stuff like that, people just 100% lack. They will not look to see why people feel the way they feel, or, oh, this is the way he grew up. This is why he feels that way. We're just so like ready to attack, right? In either side. And I feel like empathy is really what our nation is lacking. Like, how can we look at each other and see where each other are coming from to kind of find a middle ground to something that would find some understanding, you know?
Well, see, that's a great point. And what I always tell people because I try to avoid politics with certain people, but people now are taught to take a position, not have a conversation.
Yeah, that like just they almost tell you the position to take
That's
before
right.
giving you any information on behind.
And a narrative is designed to create divide.
Yeah.
If you listen to the news, if you listen to politicians, there's no middle ground.
No.
They give you one of two choices. You were either here or you were here.
So good. It's true.
And what empathy does by default is it changes your brain. You see the two ends of the spectrum, and empathy will allow you to start to funnel in on the middle ground.
For sure. And you don't even necessarily have to, you can have that hard stance one way or the other, but it's about understanding to why someone else's is not. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah,
So
you're looking for the middle.
Yeah. Looking for the middle. You can still keep your opinions here, right? And that's okay to have your opinion here. But even all this, it's more of like, okay, why does this person feel that way? Oh, because they were raised this way and their grandparents went through this. Oh, so now I understand maybe. Now how can I approach that person with love and try to, you know what I mean?
Well, you
As
said
opposed
it,
to
love.
just straight anger. I mean, there's people who hate other people who have different beliefs than them just because they could agree on 99% of life, but there's that 1% that they completely disagree on a topic and they will hate each other.
No, look, I agree. And I'm glad you brought love in. Empathy creates the environment for love.
That's good. That's really good. All right. So let's get into 4. Skill development. This is an obvious one that's great, right? I've never in my life cut down a tree or ran it through a chipper. I didn't even know what it was called, right? So, sorry.
I'm sorry. Up until I was 18
okay.
years old, I thought my name was Get Wood. So I was very comfortable in that situation.
See, so my dad always hired a handyman. We had something that needed done around the house. My dad didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't know about plumbing. I didn't even know how to use tools. It's funny because now I own a roofing company and, but I still don't you know what I mean? I can use a hammer and put a tarp on a roof, but that's just not my skill set. But for the first time I was actually out there, chipping wood and learning new skills. So I think that's skill development. Volunteering and serving others will help you with skill development. Go ahead. And what do you got on this?
Well, I mean, skill development to me is a byproduct and an unintended consequence of serving others. And I'll give you an example. You know, like I told you, I'm a youth mentor for the high school boys on Wednesday nights at my church at Life Church Mansfield. And I will tell you right away, I've never experienced the power of love and Jesus like I have in that room with these boys. We could talk for 10 hours on some of the things that I've witnessed. But from a skill development, we're just specifically talking about this. I've got a couple of these boys, and one of them in particular named Jacob. Jacob would come and he would be quiet. He was afraid, had anxiety, did not want to speak in front of anybody. But by being consistent, right? Because we got to be consistent with what we're doing as servant leaders, right? I finally got him to open up a little bit. So here's a kid that's got anxiety talking in front of people. By the end of last year's youth group, I had him participating, sharing intimate, vulnerable things about himself in public in this room. He was praying in front of the entire room. He even prayed for me personally.
That's pretty cool.
So you're talking about skill development. I can't have come up with a better example than how by us pouring into these kids, otherwise he wouldn't do it. His parents couldn't even get that done.
Yeah. So, okay. So I see where you're going with this. So it's the kids develop the skills due to you serving and giving back, right? The kid has then developed these skills
because you put by us serving.
Yeah.
Remember, because what we're talking about here is servant leadership also.
Yeah.
So as a servant leader, I'm responsible to lead. So I have to feel the people that we're talking. Look what you've done with the kids in Second Chance. It's not just because you create an organization and boom, it's just organic and things happen. No, your vulnerability, your leadership has brought these kids to earn tennis shoes that are here, right? A truck. They've gotten jobs. That's through leadership, and that's skill development.
Yeah, that's good.
Maybe the context of this could be discussed in the fact of what we're developing as the people that are serving.
No, I'm with you. Now, that's where I was thinking.
Yes.
But I totally see where you're at.
Yeah, so to me, I'm looking at how our impact helps them develop skills by us pouring into them.
For sure. I think we could go on and on about those. Yours was a prime example. But we see, just like you said, with the kids getting jobs or the kids graduating high school that we're trying to drop out, or there's all those things, that skill development from it.
Well, take it another step further is in that group last year, not this past year, the year before, I had one of my kids that was in the youth group that now last year he aged out. He graduated from high school. He developed the skills and is now a youth leader.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's
cool.
skill development.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good.
Right?
Yep. Cool. So number 5 is increased self-esteem. Helping others can boost your self-esteem and confidence. Knowing that you are making a positive impact can enhance your sense of self-worth and purpose. That, to me, is obvious. That's nice. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of going back to saying before with like when we get done serving, how I feel like I'm on like a cloud. That's kind of the same. It's about my self-esteem. But I have to, at the same time, I have to make sure, I have to always check my, like, something that's been big for me recently, and I know this is like kind of going off track, is making sure that I'm checking my motives, that I'm doing things for the right reason, not the pat on the back. Oh, look how good Shawn is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I have to walk a safe, when it comes to self-esteem, I have to make sure that I'm just getting the benefit of increased self-esteem, but that's not what I'm looking for. Does that make sense?
Well, I will tell you that you don't do that. I mean, as your friend, right? We're going to sharpen each other. We're going to be honest. I get what you're saying. You don't want it to be about you.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not about us. And that's the thing that people have to understand. If you're going to serve and you're only serving to get recognition, you're not serving.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah. But you don't do that. I can assure you is that.
That's what I try to check myself for all the time, is like, I don't want it to be, look at me. Oh, look at Shawn. He's such a great guy. Like, I don't want that.
No, I'm around you enough. I hear you. I see you. Right? I see you. Right? And when you're in these settings and you understand the motives behind what people are doing, look, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be attracted to doing this if I felt like you were an arrogant guy that was just doing it for the look at me. I've never seen you do that, right? You know what I mean? But it's the same type of thing. And you just talk about self-esteem. And again, this is good because we're really coming at it 2 different angles sometimes, right? Yeah. So now I'm coming in it from you're pouring into a kid. I had a kid that was in my youth group. This is a different kid. He would come in, he would put his hoodie on. And first off, the fact he was there was amazing. I mean, because 16, you're going to tell me I'm going to go to a church youth group? You know what I mean? On a Wednesday night. I mean, I'm not doing that. So I tell the kids, look, you've already won.
You're here.
You're here. You won, right? This is take the W, you won. But this kid for a couple weeks would come in, he'd miss, but there was something about him. There was a brokenness about him because he would put his hoodie on and he would sit there and he would be there, but he wouldn't participate. After one of our group events, our small groups, he came to me, and I don't know, really feel comfortable sharing what he shared with me, but it was, oh my goodness, it was brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal, the burden that this kid had on him. It was awful. I tried not to get upset about it because it was that serious.
Yeah.
Well, he came to me and he shared this. And, you know, I'm just a conduit when I'm in there anyway. But God just told me, hey, he's not responsible for what he's feeling, right? So I just let God use me as the conduit. And I can't remember really what I said because it was really an out-of-body experience at that particular time. But he was released from that burden that he was carrying. The next week, this kid came in, no hoodie, sitting up straight. He was a completely different kid.
That's cool.
I mean, like that. Now, and we caught him towards the end, he was participating. He was sharing. He had what? Increased self-esteem.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good. Yeah, I see these kids increase self-esteem a lot.
Yeah, look what our kids do.
Yeah, it's cool.
No, let me seriously look. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name right. The one that has the truck. How much weight did he lose?
He's down like 100 pounds. He looks great. He's in great shape. You know, and he sees all of us working out. He knows that we're into working out. You know, like
he's got all these jacked old white guys around him. You know? He's like, cool. Look, I need to look like that.
But his self-esteem with all that is, and he's got a job and he's got a vehicle and he's a good kid, man. He's come a long way. He's not to get personal in his life, but he's the one whose dad said for like, he's been coming once a month. His dad said he was going to come every month for the past like 3 years. I don't think his dad's come once.
No, I've never met his dad.
Yeah. I mean, his dad, no, I'm talking about just coming from Waco to see his own son. He keeps telling Jerry, yeah, I'm going to come next month. I'm going to buy you an Xbox 5 or whatever, PS5, all this. He just tells him all this stuff. He doesn't ever come. Now, Jerry knows that he has people, you know, men that care about him and love him. You know what I mean? So like there's coming that for a young man who hasn't had that before. And now all of a sudden has men that say that they're going to, that was one thing with him I knew because I made a mistake in the very beginning. One time I said, hey man, on Sunday, I'm going to try to see if I can get away and I'm going to come take you to go get your shoes. Well, Sunday rolled around and I had a family event happen and then my wife had something planned and I didn't get him on Sunday. And that next Monday, he literally called me. He said, Shawn, man, I'm like not trying to like make you feel bad or anything, but like what happened yesterday is how my dad makes me feel.
Wow.
And I was like, and it broke my heart, dude, because I didn't, you know what I mean? And that's when he shared that with me. And I was like, whoa, I was like, that's really deep, man. You know what I mean? But I learned something through that I have to be careful and I have to make sure that what I say is what I do because a lot of these kids aren't used to having that, you know?
Well, just stick with that for a second, right? I mean, you learned a lesson.
Yeah, I got something out of that.
Yeah. And that's the other thing that serving does. You cannot learn that lesson if you're sitting on your couch watching Netflix. Yeah, no. Let's be honest.
I wouldn't even care, really.
You don't care. And that goes back to the empathy.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. I mean, I'm glad you shared that. I never heard that story.
Yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed about it, you know, but it's just, hey, I'll be open, tell the truth. Like, hey, this is what I did. I messed up, you know, but he was our first kid in the program. Jerry was the first kid to ever sign up for Second Chance Mentors. And he was kicked out of school. He was at an alternative school where he was forced to go. He got back into regular school. He got back on the football team. He got, you know, he's passed his classes, doing so good, got a full-time, or not full-time job, but working 40 hours every 2 weeks at Papa John's Pizza. You know what I mean? Like the kid he's on the right trajectory, you know? So it's cool to see that.
But stick there for a minute. I mean, because, this is organic. We're going. But you just touched on something too. Anybody out there listening that has a desire to serve or you're thinking about serving and you're like, well, it's got to be perfect situation. It's got to be this or no, it doesn't. Lose that attitude. That's not a servant attitude. We are doing this stuff out of love. And believe me, Shawn and I have conversations like, well, how'd that go? I don't know. We don't know sometimes.
Yeah.
But you know what? Our heart is in the right place and our feet follow.
I feel like to serve, there has to be some sort of sacrifice.
Yeah.
Whether it's your time, whether it's, because dude, how many times does something come up and I'm like, I love this program, but I would love to also stay in bed another couple of hours or just, you know what I mean? Or just sometimes it's stressful having to figure out how to pick up 8 kids on a Saturday morning. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're waiting for the perfect situation to serve, it's not going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
There's going to be something. You have to wake up early. You're going to have to show up early to something. You're going to have to, because serving is getting outside of yourself.
It ain't about you. You mean, that's what I tell everybody. Guess what? It's not about you. And that is where the whole game changes. And why we're there, I'll tell you, there are days when I show up on Wednesday on youth group and I'm sitting in my car and I'm like, I am tired. I have to go in here and I've got to pour in a guy to these young men and I'm not ready. I mean, maybe I should just leave. And look, I'm just being vulnerable and honest. There's times where I don't think that I should even bother going in there because I'm not at the level I think I need to be. And I am telling you, and this is the God's honest truth, I go in there and I listen to the sermon and I go into the room with the boys and I always just say a little prayer. I'm like, all right, God, what are we going to say today? Because I don't prepare anything. Just so you know, I don't know what I'm going to say when I walk in that church. I just let God lead it. And I'm telling you, we have the most powerful small group sessions. Yeah. Almost every time I'm sitting out in the parking lot debating whether or not I should go in or not.
It's funny how that works.
It's
funny how that works. Like anytime it's like with church or with, anytime I'm like, oh, I just don't feel like doing this today. Right. It's always so awesome. It's almost God's like, hey, it's even workouts. There's times I don't want to get a workout in. I get there and then afterwards it's the best workout. I was like, man, I'm so thankful I got this workout out of the way.
It's that rabbit punch in the back of the head is what it is.
All right. So have we done networking opportunities yet?
We haven't.
Okay. So we're on 6. We're knocking this out. We're doing good. 6 is all the different networking opportunities that come from serving. And that's to me, and that's, again, it goes both ways, right? For the kids and for us. But the people that I've met through serving, the mayor, you know what I mean? Like the state representatives, principals, school district, superintendents of the school districts, like you meet business so many, owners, right? Tons of business owners. Yeah. Right. Like you meet so many good people when you're doing stuff like that. And you already you meet someone serving, right? Let's say we're out doing community service and we meet somebody. You already have like a respect for these people that you're meeting because look, this person's outside of himself and serving, right? So that's why I feel like networking is so good in that because you're not normally going to be around people who are just selfish or not good people. I don't know if that makes sense, but
no. I mean, again, you find that when you're serving and you're meeting people that are in different industries, different parts, different walks of life, and then you have this commonality of serving, it brings people together, and then the byproduct is the networking.
Yeah.
It's just a byproduct because now it's like, hey, wait a minute, this person is in this industry. Well, hey, you're doing roofing. Hey, I need a roof. But and again, that's just a byproduct. But what happens is you want to do business with the people that are your friends and you care about it and you share common interest with.
Yeah, it's good.
It's just natural.
It's really good. And then, like you said, and then on the other side, right? On the other side of the situation, you have, for instance, the boys came into community service on Saturday after we went to have lunch, and 3 of them got jobs at the restaurant we had lunch at.
Yeah, Shane's restaurant.
If that's not a networking opportunity, I don't know what is.
That's right.
Like, how cool is that the kids, just because they came to do community service with us, now have good paying, good jobs?
And that is a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, if you're there to network first, your heart's not in the right place.
That's true. You got to keep, there's that
right
motive thing right there. But
and when your motive isn't right, guess what you're not going to do? Your cup won't be filled.
Oh, that's good.
Right? Because now all of a sudden you're filling it with a material thing.
That's really
something
good.
Selfish.
Yep. I like that. It's true. Because now you're all right, let me see. The last one we got is, and this is the one that
I love
feel like
this
I
one,
really
by
want
the
you
way.
to dig
Yeah.
on this one because I know this is your thing. You talk about purpose a lot. The last and seventh one is sense of purpose. Serving others can give you a greater sense of purpose and a meaning in life. It allows you to contribute to something larger than yourself, which can be deeply fulfilling and motivating. Take over on that one.
Well, I mean, and I like the way you do it sometimes. Hey, I'm going to talk about me, right? I mean, so this is personal to me. This is me talking. This isn't some Google app telling me what to say, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to let it out, right? I have never, ever experienced the fulfillment and the joy from anything I've ever done except for serving people. It's just, there is no greater joy that you can receive out of life than when you're serving.
It's good.
And that is why when we met, I mean, I did a lot of philanthropy work in Maryland when I lived there. I owned several Sky Zones, and I would use them to do the philanthropy work. And remember, that's where my financial literacy course was birthed.
Go get it.
You mean from the Sky Zone, from a challenge from a mentor group, right?
Yep.
So it's amazing on the positive momentum that can happen when you're serving and you have a servant heart. And now coming to Texas, you inviting me into Second Chance just nourished me and my desire to serve, which led into me. And if you can see the shirt, right? So I'm also on the advisory board of Freed People. This organization is completely amazing. These guys, Matt Shelton, and the people part of this organization, look it up, Freed, F-R-E-E-D, people.org. This group is the tip of the spear, saving children from human sex trafficking. I mean, there is no worse atrocity on the planet than slavery. Sex slavery is even more heinous. And the stories that I've heard, we could do a whole podcast on the information and the things that I've learned. But I will tell you one thing that is sobering. At any given time in Texas alone, 79,000 people are being human sex trafficked.
That's a huge number.
And it's that desire. It's that sense of purpose. Again, this isn't about me. This is about redemptiveness, saving innocent lives. And quick story that just happened 2 weeks ago, I got the call from Matt. We thought we were getting on a plane going to New York because a girl from Houston had finally said, she's done with it, I want out. Matt figured out another way to get her out of New York back to Houston, but we were ready to go to New York. But these kids, these stories, I'm going to tell you, if there's anything you can do, just even money, freedpeople.org is making a difference. But this stuff fills my cup between Second Chance Mentors, Freed People, and the church youth group. And as happen chance would have it, and I've told you Isaiah that's in our group, right? And I'll try not to cry when I talk about this one, but it is just the most amazing story. But you learned a lesson with Jerry. I learned a lesson with Isaiah. And as happen chance would have it, last week I was at lunch and I bumped into Isaiah's mom.
I know, that's so crazy.
I mean, just randomly in Fort Worth, right? And then Sunday, I'm in church and Pastor Craig in his sermon says, even in our pain, God will often ask us to help someone else. Now, on its surface, you're like, okay, yeah, that's cool. But I experienced that in my pain. It was I don't know why God does that, but several months ago, I had an event that I'm dealing with still. It's a horrible personal change in my life that I want to get into on a podcast, but it's just devastating to me and my family. And within days of that understanding and the reality that my life is going to change dramatically, I get a call from Isaiah. Hey man, I'm not I'm in a trouble right now. Me and my parents aren't getting along. Can I come stay with you? I'm like, what? I'm like, now? My world is upside down. And I said, let me call you right back. So literally, I'm not kidding you. I hung up the phone and I look at God. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now, God? I mean, if there's ever a time where I need, I mean, I'm hurting, and you're asking me to serve someone else in one of my darkest hours of my life. And I didn't know what to do other than one thing.
Say yes.
Obey.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have no idea why this is happening right now. So I called Isaiah and said, okay, I'll come get you. Come on. And I went and picked him up. I asked for his mom to come outside. I said, look, here's the deal. I don't know if you know this, but I'm not in a good place right now. Things are pretty bad, but for some reason, God wants me to do this. So I'm going to take him. I said, I'm going to give him 2 days. That's all I got. I got 2 days. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to pour into him. And hopefully in 2 days, everything's good because I'm bringing him back in 2 days, right? You know what I mean? Well, I gave him the 2 days. I took him back home. And now everything is lovely.
Yeah, I think the relationship with his parents is better now than it's ever been.
Right.
It's crazy.
And his mom, just last week, right? And we're doing this podcast and we're talking about sense of purpose. It just, I'm always amazed, but I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
On how God will just punch you in the head and say, look, it's all going to come together for you,
So
buddy.
good, yeah.
Don't worry. I got a plan. And guess what? It ain't about you.
Yeah.
And anybody out there, I'm telling you, if everything is about you, you got it wrong. You're wrong. It's not about you.
So good.
And that's what we need to learn as people. Like you were talking about politically. We make everything about ourselves. It's not right. It's wrong. We need to start loving each other. We need to have empathy. We need to take accountability for our own actions. And like I said, ladies out there, maybe your man's not one of them, but I see a lot of men taking accountability. I see them pouring in and trying and doing the right things. We got a long way to go. But guess what? We're on the right road. And this is what we need with humanity. If we serve each other, it solves most of the problems because you learn quick, it's not about you.
It's so good. That's going to be the title. It's not about you.
It's not about you. You know what I mean? And it's just unbelievable. Even in freed people. I'll tell you another quick story. I don't want to drag this out. Most people, when we do a recovery at freed people, the first question is, did you beat the heck out of the pimp? The pimp is a terrible human being. The guys in the field, and I don't even know if I'm allowed to say his name, so I'm not going to say his name, but the one guy, he's actually in my Thursday Bible group with these guys. I learned a lot about serving from him because he said, I bring the pimp to Jesus too. They're broken. So not only are they saving the victim.
Wow, that's deep.
Dude, the stories that I've heard about that. I mean, because remember, we're all broken. Some just broken a little bit more than others. Some can hide it a little bit better. But at the end of the day, we're all broken.
Yeah.
And these organizations, second chance mentors, what you're doing, right? Your story, right? Well, look at what you're doing, dude. Come on, man. That's redemption. Then you take it and put a servant leadership heart in that. You can't help but be impactful. You can't help but do it. And it's doing it. It's working. It's organic. And I'm just proud of you, and I'm proud to be part of it, and I'm proud of everybody that's in our organization and all these other organizations, because I see it. But you can't see it if you're not in it.
It's true. That's good, man.
And the other thing that to realize too, and breaking away a little bit, is a lot of people are out there like, well, I don't have money, or I don't have time, or I don't have this. You know, time management is a life skill. Let's be honest. If you got to learn some time management. You want to work out, you make the time. You want to learn more, you make the time. Serving is one of those things. Make the time. But I'll give you an example. In Freed People, my very good friend Chris, his wife Donna, not only do they donate financially, but here's a woman that has a heart for serving. Donna, for Freed People, came up with this idea to make these baskets for the auction items. Nobody asked her to do it, but she said, you know what? I have this skill and this desire to do something. So she made baskets, and they were all beautiful. I don't care what it, make a basket.
That's so good. Use some of the skills that you already have to be productive and help other people. That's good.
I mean, there's a lady at my work, right, that I do the commercial real estate with. She's an artist. She donates her paintings, right? I don't care what it is. Whatever you do, there's a way to serve if you really have a servant heart.
That's good. Man, I don't think I can follow that up with much, but thank you for doing this with me today. And hopefully you guys, you know, basically what we want to do, the point of this was just to try to motivate and have people pursue their purpose, because we understand, Paul and I understand how good it feels when you feel like you're walking in your purpose and the impact that it could have. So really all we want to do is just kind of motivate and inspire you to find somewhere to get in. And it doesn't have to be like, don't let it overwhelm you. It doesn't need to be something that completely takes over your life. It can just be something small. Start small. Find something to be a part of. There's a lot of clubs like Kiwanis Club, Lions Club, different Rotary clubs.
Rotary clubs.
The Rotary clubs are great.
Your church.
Your church is a great one. That's probably, you know, but there's so many opportunities. If you guys live in the DFW area, we would love to have you come and do stuff with us with Second Chance Mentors. We always need good men to be around these boys. And, you know, women, we have tons of other stuff that probably could be done too. You know, we need help with a lot of stuff, but there's just so many so that's all we're really trying to do here. It's nothing, none of this at all is said to make you feel bad about if you're not serving. Like, we're not trying to hit you over the head or make you feel.
No,
like,
I am. I'm trying to hit him over the head. I am, because remember, if you're only serving yourself,
you ain't serving.
You're not serving.
That's good, but
it's not about you. I'm hitting you over. Shawn's a lot. Hey, look, he's got to host a whole bunch of podcasts. I don't. Okay, I'm hitting you right over the head. I'm telling you, and you won't regret it. That's the other thing. It's one of those, that medicine that might not taste, or you don't want to hear it right, but believe me, it's delicious at the end.
That's so good. Hey, listen, if you got anything out of this podcast, if you could share it or, you know, leave us a comment or a review, that'd be really cool. I haven't had a review in like 6 months. I think it's just because I don't ask for them. But it really helps us with the algorithm of getting this content out. But you got anything to say before we sign off, Paul?
No, dude, I love you, man. I appreciate you. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, dude.
I'm honored to be part of Second Chance. And I mean, again, out there, people, I'm telling you, there's so much opportunity to make a difference in other people's lives. But we listed 7 reasons, the benefits of serving, and trust me, there's about 1,000 more.
We could go on and on and on.
That's
and
right.
on.
And the main thing is, it's just not about you.
That's so good. It's not about you. All right. I want you guys to remember that you're loved and you're forgiven, and there's nothing you can do about it. Peace.